What's up guys, Uncasual Gamer here, and today we are talking through 10 of the most expensive items in my video game collection. So let's get straight into it. So just a caveat at the start of the video, we're not going to be including any traditional video game consoles in this list. And what I mean by that is that we're not including anything that's not like a collector's edition console. So I'm not going to include my Xbox Series X, my Switch, or my PS5, and that's just because these are still worth like, you know, the PS5 and the Series X are still like £400 on CEX. So I don't want to get to number one and it just be PS5, and it's not like a special items. Everything in this list is collectible, everything in this list is something, I guess, unique that you don't see in every collection. And there are some really interesting items in the list as well. Items that you don't see in everybody's game collection, everyone's game room tour, that kind of thing. Now, if you did miss my game room tour, I uploaded that recently. And what you know is I tend to collect from the PS1 era onwards. And that's just because that's when I grew up. So I grew up, I was born in the 90s, and I grew up with the PlayStation and the Xbox mainly. You know, the original Xbox, PS1, PS2, from that onwards. Unfortunately, I'm too young born too late to enjoy the NES, the SNES, N64, them kind of consoles. So yeah, everything in the game room is from the 1990s onwards, but there are some really unique, some really cool, some really interesting items in this list. So let's get started at number 10. And also one final thing is that we are going to go by the CEX prices as much as we can. Now I know CEX at the moment in particular, especially in terms of like hardware and things, does seem to be very inflated. It seems to be more than what goes on eBay. However, it's just easier to grab a price off CEX when, you know, if you're going to buy these items today, you know, CEX, you go there, it's kind of the most easy flat line we can get. So for as many of the items as we can, we will use CEX. For the ones we can't, we'll look at sold eBay pricings, etc. Okay, so straight in at number 10, and we are over here in the Vice City corner. As you'll see, probably can guess, I'm a huge fan of Vice City. It's one of my top 3 video games of all time. I used to love Vice City growing up, even though I was too young to play it at the time. My dad kind of bought me it. And the 10th most expensive item in the collection is my GTA Vice City soundtrack. Now, interestingly, this is not actually on CEX. So CEX don't stock this. I'm not sure why, because I believe CEX still do sell CDs, at least in some stores. Correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure the bigger stores, like your Leeds one, for example, do still stock CDs. And yeah, it's a box set of, I think there are 7 CDs in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And these are the 7 radio stations from Vice City. And I tell you, these are literally just like listening to your childhood if you put these on. We've got all 7, starting with Flash FM, which is probably the most famous. This was kind of like the most poppy station on there. There is a rock station. Yeah, and this is a full complete set, so it's got all 6 discs in there. I picked this up for about, I think it was like £55. It was one of the earliest items I actually got when I started collecting, maybe like 6-7 years ago. Yeah, it's just something that, obviously I love Vice City, the colours pop on the shelf, so it looks great as well, and the music is absolutely brilliant. Now, this at the moment, like I say, CX don't stock it, so it's hard to know, put an exact price on kind of valuation of this, but based on previous listings and previous sold items on eBay, it goes for £90. So it's about £90. The only problem with these is finding one in good condition is quite difficult because it's cardboard and because the bottom is kind of like stuck on. I don't know if you can see on the camera. I'll try and give a close-up shot. You do get quite a lot of them where the edges and that are peeling off a little bit because it's now an older product. But yeah, I absolutely love this. For me, it's a must-have in the collection. It's one of my favourite items in the collection. And yeah, that's number 10. So let's move on to number 9. Okay, for item number 9, we're actually sat down on the floor, and that's just because we've got to go back here to get it. And that is behind the Last of Us 2 tin. It's not that. It is the Last of Us 2 PS4 controller, and this one is sealed. So yeah, I picked this up pretty much when The Last of Us 2 came out on PS4. It's one of my favourite games of all time. The first game is also one of my favourite games of all time. I was super excited to play the second one, so as well as picking up the Steelbook edition with the LE slipcover, yeah, I also picked up one of the Last of Us controllers, and I kind of felt like there was no point ever opening this. So yeah, it's still sealed, it's still got the sticker on top. Unfortunately, I've moved house since then, so the box does have a couple of marks on it. But again, one of the most favourite items in my collection. I think the eBay price I've put on this one is £95. Again, on CEX, this one I think goes for about 70-80, but that's not sealed. So with this one, I've added a bit of premium on, looked at some eBay sold listings, and yeah, it tends to go for about the £95 mark. So we'll put £95 on it. I have seen them go for much more than this. I've also seen them go for less than this, depending on when you're buying. Obviously, with the series out at the moment, you know, the second season of The Last of Us, then things like this are creeping back up in price and is becoming a new audience for them. But yeah, that is number 9 in the collection. Let's move on to number 8. Okay, so moving on to number 8, and I don't know if I'd say this is the most unique item in the collection. It's certainly an item that you don't tend to see in collections very often. It's something that you don't tend to see, you know, in the back of videos on display, etc. And that's probably because it doesn't look all that good. But number 8 is a PlayStation 1 screen. Now, this is unfortunately not the official screen. It's not the Sony one. I know Sony did do their own PS1 screen. This is made by, well, I don't actually know. It says Wild Things on it. I don't know if that is a brand. Yes, Wild Things PS1 colour LCD monitor. Now, obviously, we're talking back into 2000. We're talking back in like 19, whatever year this will have been. I can't even remember. Probably wasn't even born then. Is there a date on the back of the PS1 itself? It must have obviously come out just after the PlayStation released the PS1 rather than the PlayStation 1, so the slimmer model, because it only attaches to this slimmer version. Now, the screen does work. Do I ever use it? No, obviously not. It is absolutely tiny. I don't know, can I hold something up for scale here? I mean, let's compare it to a PSP screen. A PSP has literally got a bigger screen than it. So yeah, it's tiny. However, because it's tiny, it's actually quite easy to carry about. The only problem with this is that you actually need 2 power cables. You have a power cable for the screen, you have a power cable for the PS1 itself as well, obviously. You then have to connect all the wires, like the SCART or whatever it is, as if you hook it up to a TV from the console to the thing. So it's a real mess to set up. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. But for its time, I guess this was quite revolutionary, being able to essentially, you know, play a PS1 on the go. If you've got power, or take it around to someone's house and, you know, set it up without having to use a TV. At the moment, this one is, I can't find this one on CEX. The official one is like £220, so really, really expensive. Like I said, this model's not on there. Going on, I can't actually find this model either on eBay, but going on, I think there's some like Mad Cats or other unbranded PS1 screens that are on there. Based on the current, you know, the recent sales and stuff, I'm going to put this at £100. So yeah, number 8 on the list. It's a cool item to have. It's something that I never had one as a kid, so I don't really have much nostalgia for it or fondness for it, but it's a cool item and it's a talking point, and, you know, people don't even believe that you can add a screen to a PS1, so it's something cool in the collection. However, it's not something that I love. It's not one of my favourite items. And on that note, let's move on to something that I do prefer, which is at number 7. Okay, for number 7, we are back down on the floor. And interestingly, this is the only video game in this list. If you're aware of collecting, or if you collect for the DS, or you have any knowledge of the DS, you'll know there are a certain set of games that have just remained high and continue to rise in price all this time. And I've got a few of them in the collection, and that is the Pokemon series. However, only one of them actually fetches more than, well, enough to be on this list, basically, more than £90, and that is Pokemon White version 2. So I paid, I think it was £80 from CEX in Bradford, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. So I've not had this game super long. It's one of the more recent Pokemon games on the DS that I've got. But at the moment, this is £105 in CEX. Like I've said with some of the other stuff, or I will go on to say with some of the other stuff, you know, that CEX price is probably a little bit inflated. I think if you go to eBay, you can probably get one of these for under £100. But yeah, you definitely can. I think you can get one for like £90 really. But obviously, if you're paying for a game, you know, that's this valuable, CEX have kind, and we know there's a lot of fakes in the market and such. CEX kind of gives you a bit of a guarantee. So yeah, £105 at CEX. I absolutely adore the Pokemon games on the DS. It's the generation of Pokemon that I enjoyed the most in terms of video games. You know, Diamond, Black and White 2, all brilliant games. And yeah, really happy to have this one in the collection. At some point, I am trying to get a complete Pokemon DS collection, but like we said, are expensive. I think there's another 3 games that cost more than this one. I think this is the 4th expensive at the moment. But yeah, this is also, interestingly, is the only actual game on this list. Everything else on this list is more hardware, or it's like different stuff. To find out more, let's move on to number 6. Okay, on to number 6, and number 6 is my PSP. Now, this is a bit of a dubious one because this is a lilac shiny purple PSP. It's in pretty much immaculate condition, I would say. It's not got many marks on it at all. Now, I believe this is the Hannah Montana version. However, CEX don't list the Hannah Montana version as like a version on their website. They have like multiple pink PSPs, purple PSPs. This is the 3000 model because it's got the rounded start and stop button. However, it's really hard to know which one this is and which CEX would class it as. However, if I put in the pink 3000 model, which I think is the nearest one I can find to it, at Unbox is £130 on CEX. Now, I think that is pretty inflated actually, because when you look on eBay, they don't tend to go for as much as that. However, in the condition this one's in, because it is so pristine and there are very little marks on it, especially on the back with this metal ring around it, you usually get a lot of scratches on these. I think this would probably fetch around the 130 mark, to be fair. Now, there's not too much to say about this one, apart from if it is the Hannah Montana one, which I'm pretty sure it is. You don't see them very often. I've obviously got the red and the blue one behind me, which you tend to see a lot more often. Obviously, the black and white original ones as well. The lilac one, or this pink one, you don't see a lot. So when I picked this up for about £50, I think it was, again, quite near the start of my collection, maybe like 5-6 years ago. I saw this online, and because of the condition it was in, I thought, yeah, I'll pick that one up. So yeah, this is at £130. Okay, so on to number 5, and actually a bit of a weird one, this one, because I didn't expect this to be on the list, and that's because it's just a standard 3DS, effectively. It's the standard pink 3DS version. And yeah, I was a bit shocked because this is £140 on CEX, and that's the unboxed price, I think. This is in quite good nick, so I did it as unboxed rather than discounted, because it does have the original charger and things, and there are not many marks on it. There are a couple of scratches, one on the top there, but it's not super obvious, and then there's also one on the screen, but again, not super obvious. I'm not sure if it has a screen protector either. No, it doesn't. And yeah, it was a bit surprising, and it just shows that, you know, 3DSs have absolutely rocketed in price. I knew the bigger ones. I think it's the new 3DS XL or 3DS XL. There were so many different 3DSs along the way, like 2DS, 2DS XL, etc. I know the bigger ones have gone up in price, but I wasn't aware that this is the first iteration. I think this is like the first design that they brought out. I didn't realise that these ones had gone up in price that much. So £140, oh yeah, I was super surprised at this one. I got this one off eBay, I believe it was, or Vinted, for again about £60, so a good price. And the reason I picked it up was I had about 9 DSs in the collection, didn't have a single 3DS, started picking up some good 3DS games like your Mario Kart and your Mario Bros, etc. I thought I'm going to have to pick a 3DS up. And at that point they were going for, this is like looking back at like 2 or 3 years ago, I think they were going for like £80-90, so starting to push towards 100. But yeah, £140, I logged on earlier today, looked at the price, I was very shocked at that. There's not too much I can say about this item. I guess, you know, most people who collect, especially Nintendo collector, will know what 3DS is. They probably got a 3DS in their collection. But yeah, £140. This is number 5 on the list. Okay, so at number 4 we have got another PSP, and this time it's not the pink one. It is in fact the red one, and I think this one is called Radiant Red. Now CEX have got this one listed up for £145, and again, a bit like the pink PSP we talked about before, I think that is very inflated. However, once again, like the pink PSP, this is in immaculate condition. I picked this one up on Facebook Marketplace just after COVID it was. I remember just after COVID, people were like selling stuff from around the house. I remember Wii's went up in value by loads of money because everyone was going in the attic and they wanted to get the Wii out and play the Wii again because there was nothing to do. And it was a really good time for picking up good video game stuff. So yeah, I managed to get this. I think it was £50. Like I say, it's now £145. And once again, it is in pretty, you know, if I was going to grade this, I would probably grade it like an A. Just because there's not any marks on it. There's not a mark on the screen. There's not a mark again on the silver on the back, on the ring. And yeah, you know, just great working order. It's PSP, I think the 3000 again, this one, because you can tell with the oval buttons. And yeah, £145. Do I think it's worth that? Would I pay that today for it? Look, no one needs 3-4 PSPs, whatever I've got in the collection. However, yeah, PSPs, if you like a PSP, if it's something that's added to you, then yeah, I like having these in the collection. However, yeah, £145, and that is at number 4 in the collection. Okay, so on to number 3, and this is probably the second most favourite item in my collection. Something I got way back years ago when I started collecting one of the first items I got. And yeah, it's from one of my favourite game franchises, and it is the Halo 3 Xbox 360 console. Now, I know I said that with the PSPs there's not a mark on them. Now with this thing there is literally not a mark on it. It is in absolutely perfect condition. It comes with the hard drive. Quite often you'll see these consoles online without the edition hard drive, which says Halo 3 on top and has that the goldish, what colour is that? Goldish, bronze, orange trim to it. Now at the moment this is £170 in CEX, which I think is the joint most expensive version of the 360. I know there's a Star Wars one, like an R2-D2 style one, which is also maybe just more than this. I've got the controller with this as well, which obviously helps having the green controller. And yeah, I don't tend to play this one, and that's just because I've got, if you know my collection, I'll put a thing on here, I've got about 6 Xbox 360s set up, and I use one of the more modern models. This was obviously one of the earlier iterations, one of the earlier models. I think it was based on the Elite, this one, with the bigger hard drive on it. But yeah, I use one of the S models when I'm playing, just because that links to Xbox Live better. This didn't come with Wi-Fi. It did have the HDMI port, but I think only just. It's got 2004 as a service, 2010, sorry, as a service date model on the back. But yeah, if you watch my videos, then you'll know I love Xbox 360. You can look at my full Xbox 360 collection somewhere up here. And I love Halo, so yeah, it's a must-have in my collection. And again, this is one of the favourite items. If I was to sell everything, which I'm not going to do, then this would be one of the last things to ever go. £170 on CEX. Now I know we've been saying that CEX prices are quite inflated at the moment, and eBay tends to be cheaper. However, it's really hard to actually get one of these on eBay for a good price. They don't come up that often. When they do come up, they sell pretty quick. So for this one, the 170s, I'm saying it is worth that. I think, especially in the condition it's in, and with the controller and with the hard drive, I think 170 is a good price for this one. Anyway, let's get on to our number 2 item. Okay, so at number 2 in the list is probably the favourite item in my entire collection. Number 1 for me, and that is my Halo 3 Legendary Edition. So the main thing about this edition is obviously the Master Chief helmet. You know, it's absolute pride and place in my game room, right in the middle. Yeah, Halo is my favourite game franchise of all time. Halo 3 is, it's arguably, it's in my top 3 games of all time for sure. It's up there with GTA Vice City and The Last of Us 1 and 2. And yeah, this is just, it's an item, it's one of the first items I got that got me, I guess, into collecting. And I remember picking it up, it was probably like seven years ago-ish, when I had my own house for the first time, and started picking up some old games that I used to play. And I saw this on, again, I think it was eBay, and at the time it was like £70 or something. I've got it boxed, so the box is over here. It comes with like the stand and the game and the DVD, and it also comes on like a neck cover for the helmet to keep dust off it, which I've obviously not got on at the moment. Yeah, it's just an absolutely amazing piece. It's the favourite piece in my entire collection. If I was to sell everything tomorrow, this is the one thing I would keep. At the moment, this is £185 in CEX. Now, that's for the box version. I think, like I said, I've got the box with it. Now, unfortunately, if you don't know about this, you can't wear the helmet. So as you'll see, it's actually a little bit small compared to a fully wearable one. It's not far off. I don't know what the exact scale is, but yeah, it's pretty close. And once again, like most of the stuff that we've gone for on this list, this is in very, very good condition. There's not a single mark on it. And yeah, it's a Master Chief helmet. It looks absolutely insane. It's the nearest I can get to Retro Ghetto's life-size Master Chief, his full one, which would be like the absolute pinnacle of my, if I got a chance to buy one of them, would be the pinnacle of my collection and collecting. But yeah, the Master Chief helmet, this is number 2 at £185 at the moment. Okay, so time for number 1, the thing you've all been waiting for. We've counted down from number 10 right down to the most expensive individual item in my collection. And guess what? It is another PSP. So we've been through the pink PSP, then we spoke about the red one, and now it's time for the blue one. Now, I don't know why this is so expensive. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like the pink one out of these three is the rarest. I feel like the red one as well. You see a lot of these, especially on like eBay and stuff. But CEX at the moment have got the blue one. I think this is the unboxed price. Unboxed is £200. Now I think that's pretty crazy because do I think this is worth £200? Probably not. Again, like the red one, I got this one on Facebook Marketplace just after COVID. I think I paid about £50 for it again. And like I said with the other two, sound like a broken record here. This is once again in pretty, I'd probably give it an A rating if I was to rate this. I think the condition of it is absolutely brilliant. We have not got any, major scratches on the screen or anything. Again, the back of it, and I'll put some close-ups on screen now for you, is in pristine condition, no marks on a metal ring. And yeah, it's just crazy that I can't believe that these three items are all in the top 10 most expensive in my collection. I've always been fond of PSPs, like I've already mentioned. And the main reason I got these, it's not even to play, which kind of makes, don't make much sense what you might think there, but I have got a standard black PSP, which is behind the camera. So if I'm playing a PSP, that's someone that I will play. These just look, I think, brilliant on the shelf, and yeah, I'm kind of scared to... Now I know they're worth £200, especially, this one. I'm kind of scared to play with it and put any marks on it. Out of my three, just for a bit of fun, if I had to rank these three, I probably would actually rank the blue one first, even though I'm a Liverpool fan and, I'm all about red. I would rank the blue one first, then I think the red one, and then the pink one. The pink one is really nice, and it's got this like glittery effect on it, and it's probably the most unique out of the three. But the blue one certainly pops the most on the shelf. Might just because I've got white walls and stuff in here. But yeah, the blue one pops the most on the shelves. Yeah, so there you have it, the top 10 most expensive items in my video game collection. Like I mentioned, it's not an exclusive list because we did leave some things out, such as the Xbox Series X, the PS5, the Switch. Also a couple of other consoles that I've got. I do have the Halo Reach Xbox 360, which I think is over £100, so it would fit in this list. However, my controller for that is a little bit scuffed and things, so whether I can actually get that price for it, I'm not sure. Obviously, pricing it up is just a bit of fun, really. None of this is for sale. I'm not selling the collection anytime soon. If anything, I'm adding to the collection every day. And also the 30th anniversary edition of the PS5 controller. And that's because I only picked this up when it came out last year, so it's not really, in my opinion, a collector's item as such. It's too new to add to the list. Also got some games from Japan, which are kind of hard to put a price on because, people over here, if you were to ship it over, you probably would pay that much for it. But if you go to Japan, they cost me under £20 each. So I didn't want to include them in the list. Anyway, let me know what you think of the items. Are any of them worth the money that I had down for them, that I've mentioned? Are any of them worth the money, the value that we've put on this video, that CX charge? Are any in your collection or any that are not in your collection? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and keep gaming.